Good day, my fellow Raptors fans. Today is an auspicious occasion, isn't it? So the NBA season started last night. Did you really think I was going to leave you hanging all season? I thought today was a good day to chime in. We've had a busy summer at my house, my kids and I, and my business and whatnot, and less time for Raptors videos. But less time for the Raptors? I think not. Less time for NBA? I think not. We're fine in that department. So I've been watching the same things as you. We have great content creators in Raptors land, and I don't feel like the narratives are off. I feel like they're pretty bang on. I feel like more people should be talking about Jakob Poeltl's hands, maybe. But beyond that, the narratives are pretty spot on. So what can I offer you before the games tonight? And I want to keep it pretty brief. I'll tell you a story. So I think that this time of year, we all need to be reminded of this. And I'll use a metaphor. So we set out to get my dog Freya pregnant this past spring using a poodle. She's a Portuguese water dog, so porta-poos. And we were getting prepared. So it was like reading books on this and like consulting websites and even calling dog breeders. And I was prepared for 5.6 puppies. Exactly, okay? So everyone's experience with poodles and Portuguese water dogs and mixing them together led me to believe that we should expect 5.6 puppies, right? But the fact of the matter is, we had 11 puppies. We weren't ready for this at all. We needed to find more families. We needed to do all sorts of shit because of this. And as much as it was a complete pleasure to have 11 puppies to love and to hold, statistics can be dangerous, is my point.
It is statistics that led to absurd opinions like Scotty Barnes will never be a shooter, or Grady Dick will only be a shooter. I think this preseason has shown us that those are ridiculous statements. And now you may say to yourself, oh, that doesn't matter because now we got Scotty and he is turning into a shooter and Grady is turning into an all-around five-tool kind of player. We got our guy, he's more than we anticipated, that's great, so it doesn't matter. But doesn't it matter to the 12 teams that didn't draft Grady and left him sitting there for us at 13? Or how about Detroit? Would they like to reconsider taking Cade or, what was it, Jalen Green next that just signed? There's a reason Jalen Green didn't get the same money as Scotty Barnes. So these things matter. If you go nothing but by statistics, you do things like take Cade over Scotty.
Why do I tell you that today? I tell you that today because everything you've seen from every one of these young players entering the league and the older ones like the Jakob Poeltls, you need to leave it behind you. Because they put so much work in every year that these things are constantly changing, ebbing and flowing. And if we rely too heavily on statistics and things of that nature that tell us what a player has been in the past, then we're constantly caught with our pants down when that player does something we don't expect in the present or future.
The active word this year is development, and yet I think that's kind of funny. Like, I haven't watched basketball played by any team around the league that I didn't see, growth in. Development's constantly happening. So I find it very ironic that the management has to say, oh, it's a development year. It's always a fucking development year.
And so I caution you now as a man that only prepared for 6 puppies and caught 11, do not rely too heavily on what you hear as the hype on various players around the league. Don't put too much stock into the Celtics tying the record for threes last night. Someone is going to break that this year. Put more stock in the fact that they went 0 for 13 when trying to get the record by themselves. There's something about that is interesting to me, even though they dominated the Knicks last night.
It's kind of like getting to view Achilles' actual fucked up heel on national TV.
Which is insanely interesting because during a game where they dominated a contender like the Knicks, they at the same time managed to show that they're fallible and have a weakness, right? Like in the clutch, they missed 0 for 13. And we're not just talking about bench players. Like there were some serious shooters from the Celtics throwing up threes early in this game. I think it was like 8 minutes of chances. It's crazy that they didn't just seal it. Crazy. Anyway, my main point is that everything you know about a player going into a season should be gone. If they don't develop, they're out of the league, right? So all players are constantly developing and look forward to how they develop. Now, this leads me to my actual prediction here, and that is that we're going to see an influx of the young players getting some reps to start the season, and this is not a bold prediction. This happens every year for many, many squads, And the reason they do it is to get a look. People always say get a look at their new players or their new additions and the different permutations of lineups. But really for the young guys, this gives us tape. It gives us video to watch, and because it is easier for a young person or any person who is learning a craft or a skill to decide they need work on something if it's them drawing their own conclusion. And that's why film is so valuable. Think about it, like I consider myself a pretty teachable person, but at the same time I can be arrogant. Like if you came to me, I'm a chef, right? I've been a chef my whole life. If you came to me and said, hey, your bechamel needs work, it has lumps or some shit, I'd be like, I would question you. But if you showed me film or the bechamel showing that it has lumps and that, the experience could be better for my diners, I would draw that conclusion myself. And that's what's powerful about film.
So my prediction basically boils down to expect to see a lot of reps for guys who then go to the 905 or go to the bench. They will not sustain those minutes after the first month or two, especially when certain faces return to good health.
Now, my question for you, though, is that wise this year if the Raptors aspire to a play-in or a playoff scenario with this crazy schedule everyone's talking about? Shouldn't they be playing their best players right out of the gate? And I know there's some next man up to that because RJ's ruled out tonight. And I think we got our answer in the form of Jakob Poeltl's interview.
We're going to go into every single game trying to win it. We're trying to win as many games as we can this season. We're trying to get to playoff positions where we can gain really valuable experience and stuff like that. But I think the focus for us is more on getting better as a team.
He clearly is a guy that they've prepared to, maybe not do what a normal starter would be doing typically this year. And I've seen people talking about Yak quite correctly, talking about, should they cash out on Yak when his value's high to a contender or something? I think Yak is the Marc Gasol going forward. I think that's a position that can get older, and the veteran aspects of being older in the NBA are totally worth maybe the fact that he might be slower or a certain type of build. There's just things that you can do with a center that's reliable in the pick and roll and then on the other end in drop coverage that, those years of wisdom pay dividends, because when you're working on all the pieces around them, it's nice to have that foundational linchpin at center. And so I think that Yak is unlikely to be moved unless they get a really strong ransom for him, or someone behind him steps up and says, hey, I'm your next Marc Gasol, Masai. But I don't see that happening with the roster we've got right now. Anyway, enjoy the games tonight. I'll probably be chiming in more often than not after I've been to a 9-5 home games, and those don't start till November 22nd. I enjoy the same content as you guys. Be well, have fun, and remember, it's all about the Larrys. Cheers.
Chef's kiss approved.
Mwah!